Welcome to the Coach Speak podcast, built for coaches, by coaches, hosted by Jamie Bolton and Dustin Martin. Sponsored by Ray Crowther, providing the nation's best athletic training equipment since 1932. And R4 Football Systems. Accelerate everything by decoding the game.
Hey guys, welcome back to Coach Speak. Dustin Martin here with Jamie Bolton. Have a special guest today, Coach Mitch Johnson out of Cary, North Carolina. And Jamie's going to hop into what we're getting into today. Before we get going, I want to shout out to our sponsors, Team Builder and Tsunami Bar Sports.
Yeah, guys, we're excited to have a North Carolinian on. Spent a lot of time in North Carolina, but Coach Mitch Johnson is the head football coach at Green Hope High School. Coach Johnson brings 13 years of football coaching experience, 9 years as a head coach. He's been all around the country. He's also coached 5 years of baseball. I'm a baseball guy too, so we might even have some conversations about that a little bit. But he also serves as the school's weightlifting coach, and he's known for creating and running the power rate offense. And so we're going to get into that and how he combines this physical downhill approach with tempo, the modern offense. So, Coach, man, welcome on.
Hey, man, appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me. We've been trying to do this for a couple of weeks, and I appreciate you guys, your patience. Just excited to talk with you guys. I listen to every time y'all post something, hey, I'm listening to it like the next day. So y'all are doing a heck of a job. And so I just appreciate y'all having me on.
Man, we appreciate it, man. That means a lot to us. And that's why we started, man. But we're glad to have you on. So, Coach, tell us a little bit about, like, you've been coaching around, but I'm really interested, you started a YouTube channel this year, and that's what's really seemed to be popping. Tell us why you got into that and how that's going.
Yeah. So, I got into that last January. It was one of those things of, I hadn't really seen a lot of people kind of, everybody follows kind of Lincoln Riley, but nobody really kind of talked about the power rate too much. And my thing was, when I was coming up as an assistant coach, we ran a split back veer at Pinecrest, and I loved running the ball. I mean, we had Division I linemen. One of them's coaching with me now and has been coaching with me for a couple of years. And, I love running the ball, but then going off to college, every coach I had was, except for Jimmy Teague, but Jimmy Teague threw the ball around some good times. He was my offense coordinator for a year, but every one of them was air raid. Growing up, love the Mike Leach, Texas Tech when they did that to Texas, because Texas is my second team. And it's just like, dude, what is this offense? Like, how are they putting up all these points? And just dove into it and kind of just mixing the both of them. And it just gives you a good menu for every year, depending on what you have of trying to be successful. And it's kind of like, they talk about, I was just listening today, as Mike Leach always said, with the air raid is it gives you a chance with less Jimmys and Joes because of the way they practice, the way they do things. Is the same thing that the old Wishbone Wing T would do. And so it's just kind of like, all right, let's try to marriage the goods and the bad and try to get less bads of everything. Except for, this past year we had lots of bads, but that's just the thing that fascinates me and the guys that I follow. Like I love Lincoln Riley. And so it's a guy that I've followed a lot, and now, it's all over the place. And so it's just somebody that I followed, I always, have, and, off that tree, and he runs the ball a lot more, especially, when he was at ECU, they ran the ball a lot more than any other air raid team ever. And it was GT and different things. And I was like, okay, I want to dive into that. And, so I did that, and here I am.
I followed Lincoln Riley early on in my offensive days, just a lot of the ways that he spins a lot of his runs and the ways he thinks out of the box. And, the power raid, that we're kind of referring to, I think in a way, Jamie and I kind of refer to the offense that we would run in the same aspect. And it's in terms of, we can run one back runs, we can run 11 personnel runs, we can hop in pro, but we still have the ability to release 5 guys, check the fifth guy in protection, and then release him late. But because a lot of it are, and I'll let Jamie talk more about this, but I feel like the pass game is from the air raid. It has air raid principles. It's being, able to get 5 out, but keep in who we need. And I love when people say that they run the power raid, because that, to me, that means you're well-rounded. You're able to do many things out of different systems, in my opinion.
Yeah. And that's kind of like exactly what you said, is that last part was, just want to be well-rounded. I don't know how many teams run true air raid, and, they're slinging it 60 something times because, the old saying is, 3 things happen, 2 of them are bad. And that's true unless you have a gunslinger. Do you have the receivers to do all this stuff? And, so it's just like, I agree. It's like well-rounded. And it's the one thing that I think I've really prided myself on trying to do is I wanted to get better at the run game. and knowing how to run the ball and mixing up. And, like when we were at Northwood a year before I came to Green Hope, I call it 10.5 personnel because we had Gus Ritchie went to NC State, and it was tough to call him just as a tight end or call him as a receiver. So I called it 10.5 personnel because, I mean, we moved him everywhere. I mean, we even put him at quarterback. I mean, it was like what Penn State did with Tyler Warren. So it was kind of just something like that. So no, I agree. I like the well-rounded stuff. Those are the people I kind of tend to, how do they mix it up with tempo, motion, personnel, and all that good stuff. Like I even studied the gun tee a lot the last 2 off seasons. So
Man, it makes a lot of sense. And just listening to you talk about your background in like veer and option, and then in that system, you have to learn the box. You have to learn, what the non-negotiables of defense are to how to attack that. And then now that, and same thing for me, I was kind of brought into the air raid at a 1A school in North Carolina where a lot of the air raid concepts tended to work really well at that level, just because I think it was new. We could go fast. It was a few plays. We did fast screen. We did stick. We did maybe, Y cross. And that was kind of it, maybe some four Bert stuff. But like that seemed to really work at that level. I try to take that cookie cutter mentality to a higher level and learned really quickly that you better have some more answers than like running dart and stick and like fast screen. Although those are great, we didn't have the personnel to run those efficiently. And so that didn't really work out for me. And then I thankfully I transitioned into South Carolina and was able to learn from Brent Dearman. And so if you guys don't know him, look him up, but he does a lot of the RPO and the power spread stuff that Malzahn did. And so combining that with the air raid principles, man, I think it's really a neat system. And I think it makes you a better coach when you have to problem solve year to year, especially when you don't know your personnel. But yeah, man. So you've coached baseball too. I'm interested in this. Has that did you stop coaching baseball? I stopped after like 7 years. That when you stopped coaching baseball, do you still let that kind of influence how you coach football?
Man, that was tough because so I did it the 4 years when I was at Pinecrest, and I mean, we were, nationally ranked top, always going to the semifinals. And, but so our head coach was best friends with, Coach Mexico, Coach Hewitt, and, I played for him, and just a lot of, what's funny is we took kind of like how football to our baseball of like, it was nonstop. We set an hour and a half and boom, 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 we're going through everything. There's no wasted time and we're constantly moving. And so I think what I do with the baseball to the football is like, everybody will say baseball practices are almost as boring than games because you're kind of going through all the situationals. And that's kind of, I think that's what has brought me to to football is like, I will walk through something to make sure that we're doing it. Just like when you go through bunk coverages and you're doing, PI, everyday drills with the pitchers and outfielders are working on their cuts and, hey, who do you throw it to if it's in the air? Who do you throw out, if it's a grounder, backing up what? And I guess it's like those little details just to make sure that they're covered. And sometimes people will be like, man, coach, sometimes in practice, you're not going as fast as you would like. And I was like, but I want to make sure that the little details, because at the end of the day, you never know when that situation is going to pop up and you better hope that you've covered. So I think that the little details has brought that, brought that part to me. And then a lot of the mentality of, if you're successful in baseball, 3 out of 10, you're a Hall of Famer. And so that's one big thing that a lot of places we've had a lot of baseball players. And so I have them speak to the guys on that of like, you can't sink your head after one. I mean, 3 out of 10, and I know football, it's, you got to be a little bit better percentage, but how do you handle that knowing that you have the deck of cards going against you? So I guess that kind of brings a little bit of baseball of like, negative chance or a low chance of being successful and you're still considered really good, and just how to bring that approach to it.
Yeah, you got to stay locked in. I remember what's the old saying from Yogi Berra? What is it? 90% of the game is half mental.
Yeah.
And so just thinking through that as a baseball term, but it's so true. And I think there's a balance between how much of the scenario talking do you do versus the amount of like pure reps, and how do you kind of balance that at practice? Do you have a script where you go through and you're like, we're going to get these 14 or whatever plays in, or do you kind of stop when you need to stop? How do you balance that?
Yeah. So what we do is like, so Monday, like right now, our Monday through Thursday. So I do like what ended up being our best 4 quick, our 4 best screens, 4 best drop back, 4 best runs. And so Monday will be a quick game, a drop back, and a run. And so then we'll go through our 7-on-7, and then like I know that defense will want some of the red zone or whatever. So we get about 10 minutes of all the different situations. So like on Monday, like I'm a big stick guy. So hey, what am I going to run? in the red zone, and that's what we call, and we do the reps, and then all the different formations, all the different motions. And so that's kind of how we simulate that. And then, so what's awesome is like, we won't just do, if Monday we're doing red zone, defense will be doing third down. So now we're working red zone and third down because we got our guys. Most of them aren't going both ways. So now all of a sudden on Monday, they're getting red zone and they're getting third down, and then vice versa on certain days. And then we'll do, haven't really worked too much of our 2-minute because I wanted to really get the details and see what plays we can get into quickly and what have been successful. Because if you try to go 2-minute, I mean, what if you're not good at any, you know what I mean? So it's just like, it's one of those things that we haven't hopped into that. It's been mostly of those really tough situations of, fourth down, third down, third short, fourth and short, because 7-on-7 time is over. You better be able to run the ball down in 4th and 1 and figure something out. And so we've worked that, and then we've worked our red zone a lot, because I'm a little bit different with red zone. Is I don't always believe in, all right, so they're going to play a lot of man probably. I don't believe in just putting 12 personnel in there. I've been really working on going a lot of empty for us because we have a lot of good skill guys. And how can I, going quads bunch, and how can I get that best corner to cover somebody that doesn't even really matter? But now, and then I've got my receivers going against line. And so just working that, then I'll explain to the guys once we go defensive time a period is, then we'll walk through some of that stuff. And I wish I'd go a day ahead. So like if we're doing red zone on Tuesday with the defense, I'll make sure before we go out there, like, hey, remember when we worked this yesterday, let's walk through and why we're doing what we're doing. And here's the little details of, if you see this, so if they don't go man, you run the normal concept that's called, but if it does, and if they blitz, here's what's hot, and here's the blitz beaters. And so we've just been really working on those little details. And I can tell so far, hopefully we'll translate when we get into the games that matter, but so far we're way ahead of anywhere we were last year. And I think that last year, we had to do a lot of coaching up. And I think it made us better coaches, especially for being, now we're at an 8A school, and it's a school that's a little bit different. It's more of like the Stanford and Virginia Tech, so high academics and not as much, so a little bit different standards. So we've been having to coach up a little bit different than we normally have, having a bunch of athletes. So just I guess a lot of details, drawing it up, explaining it, and then hitting on the reps so that we're not wasting reps, and then it doesn't look like crap and everybody's just throwing down their call sheet and all that. I'd rather be very upfront with and get everything done first and then go get the reps.
Yeah, and I think, you hit on it. I think 2-minute is one of your last competition situations you work, because it's like, it's almost a combination of everything we do, but fast and quick. And, maybe there's a few special plays you have that break out near the sideline or get you in the middle before you spike it to kick the field goal. But it's like, 2-minute is one of the last ones, because it's like, if we can't run our base offense at a base tempo, we really can't do it really fast. So I know 4-minute is normally my go-to. Hey guys, we're going to work 4-minute, and that just means we're going to be normal. Like, it's like let's just run our normal offense and try to run the clock.
And I think too, like, just in taking the time to explain like the situations of 2-minute, like with your guys, like, hey, look, if you can't get the first down, get out of bounds. It's you can't take a sack. I think and I like to go through those early in the season. Or really in fall camp, so that if we do take a sack, I can have that teaching moment. Or if we, if we don't get out of bounds when we need to, we can have that teaching moment. We can work a spike. We can make sure guys are set. I think those things do show up a lot. And then in 4 minutes, like, don't run out of bounds. Like, and as a play caller, maybe not try to run some outside stuff. Maybe try to run more to the field if you can. But the idea is to get 2 first downs, obviously. But yeah, man. And also, just before we kind of move into the power rate, I really kind of want to know, like, a little bit of like your weightlifting background and like how do you use that to instill culture. I'm obviously a strength coach, and talk a little bit about that. If you guys are up tempo, do you kind of match that style in the weight room too? So if you don't mind explaining that.
Yeah. So I got very lucky. My dad was in Delta Force, and so then living in Fort Bragg in Southern Pines and Pinecrest, we had another guy that had been training the Atlanta Braves, Atlanta Threshers, and trained the special forces and all that. And so what we did a lot at Pinecrest was something I ended up picking up, because then I got to listen. One of the coaches I picked up at Las Vegas, he actually played at UCF when all that was going on with Scott Frost. And Scott Frost's mentality was, we ain't getting 3, 4, 5 stars, but we can make them better athletes. And so I've bought into that I've made adjustments with like using landmines and all that type of stuff. But I'm very big on being able to create athletes, and I'm not going to deadlift. Like I believe in fast twitch, fast, quick movements, and how fast can I move this weight and effectively get a rep done. And so we go through like a 10-week cycle, and we do our upper body with our cleans on Monday, Wednesday. Tuesday, Thursday are our lower body days. Tuesday is all of our squat variations. So we'll do normal squat, we'll do landmine squat, landmine front squat. We'll do some weighted squats, and just plyo jumps and all that good stuff. And then Thursday is all of our one-legged movements. And trying to make sure that we're be able to create balance. So we're doing right, left, so like step up, split squats, lunges. And that's just something that watching how they did that, it was really masterful to me. I had never seen that before. We've really been able to create better athletes. Seeing how they did that, and then the explanation and how and why they did that, it made a lot of sense to me for somebody that was just trying to cut my teeth into it. And I know some people be like, oh, well, then a creature of habit, but I'm telling you, like, I've made the different adjustments with it, and it just works and it clicks. And so then started doing Rat Coach and putting it in there, and the guys have fallen in love with it. And it's like, we make our little tweaks and adjustments, but they know, hey, it's Wednesday, it's hang clean day. And I just find that uniformity and the discipline in the weight room, it's really helped us. Because we didn't get in the weight room last summer. We had to move our weight room. So we didn't have any of that. And I believe in the weight room does build your culture and getting the guys excited and discipline and accountability. So we started doing that January 21st. Well, we started doing it in school year, but then we got all of our guys after school January 21st and been going on, and you can see a huge difference of accountability. You start throwing that Rat Coach, and they're doing the right reps. They're not skipping reps. They're doing the right percentages. They're not having to calculate it. It's all there for them. And so Jay, I'm with you. Like it builds a culture, and the things that you're like looking for and celebrating with your guy in the rack when you make a personal goal, when you do a PR max out week, we go crazy. We just get after it. I mean, it's like,
That's
I
awesome.
always try to shut the door, because I'm just like, man, the principal's going to come get us. But like we're putting on every type of music that we can, whatever the guys want for their max outs.
That's right.
We get after it because we want them to have a sense of pride and build some confidence.
Yeah.
And when we got there last year, we didn't have one guy benching 225. No, those big time numbers, the cleans of 185, nobody benching 225, nobody squatting 315. If they were squatting 315, it was a calf raise or a half squat. It wasn't a full squat. Nobody could plyo jump over 36. I mean, it was tough. We didn't have anybody under 4.7. And now, like, after this last testing, we have a bunch of 700 guy club. We have one or two in 1,000, and we don't even do deadlift. And that's where everybody always picks up their, I mean, we've really instilled that. We broke down all of the running motions, and then we started doing speed school every day, working speed school for 15 minutes. Then we do some type of agility, all that. And now, we got some guys that when they've gone to camps, they've ran laser 4.5s. I mean, so we got some guys, we've really worked on it. And I can't tell you enough of what Scott Frost and UCF did. I mean, I would steal that every day, because I mean, that was money. And that was the biggest thing that ever happened, was like having that coach, my defensive coordinator, and he slipped this to me. He was like, don't be letting anybody know that I gave you this. Like, this is a secret weapon. And it really is. Because, that was what, 8 years ago, and everybody, it was deadlifting, just how much heavy weight can you lift? But the game has gotten to who's the most powerful and explosive, right? And so that was way ahead of its time. And that's when UCF, they were the national champions and won the 26 in a row or whatever it was. And so, Scott Frost did something right there.
Yeah, no doubt.
So
No doubt,
I've
man.
taken that and run with it.
Right. And just thinking about that, obviously one of our sponsors is Tsunami Bar Sports. And I think about, like, in our weight room, we do a lot of transitions and up tempo transitions a lot, just to try to match tempo, really on both sides of the bar, just making sure we have a lot of urgency. The Tsunami Bar helps us a lot. And I think about programs that do that. And I'm hoping that people will start to kind of find these Tsunami Bars and start incorporating them, because I think you're missing out if you really don't have them. The big thing with these bars, man, the oscillation in these bars when they bend and snap, it really provides what you're talking about, Coach, like that force production, that powerful athlete, and it translating to the field. And I don't see like normal bars really matching that. I think plyos try to do that, but you can't add a lot of force on plyos unless you're like doing step downs or snap downs. But still, this tsunami bar is insane. But really, if you guys are interested in Tsunami Bar, you can use it for squats, bench, dynamic movements, just a level of intensity to set that culture. But if you're interested, reach out to Tsunami Bar Sports. Chad Smith is our contact person. But it's been a game changer for us in the weight room, and we can't say enough good things about them and the job they do over there. But yeah, man, I love the weight room stuff. We actually just talked about our max day. We brought a DJ in. And so we
Okay.
had like a DJ and lights, and I don't know if it was the safest thing in the world, but it was. Kids were getting after it, and the music
Yeah.
was certainly loud.
I went over there with the light switches and I started messing with them. And I was like, man, I
Yes,
was
sir.
like, oh, we're risking it.
You're
I was like,
all in, man.
they got hyped to it. And,
That's right.
and then during max out week, it was one of those things of, we were picking out our walkout song for this next year. Like, who are we? Like, what? And so it was, I mean, we had some fun, and I'm down with you. But I mean, at the end of the day is like, if a school can't support what's going on in that weight room,
Right.
it might not be the place for you, because that weight room does some things, and it sets you up, it sets these kids up for life. And it's
You
not even
can
about the game of football.
you can say that again, Coach. If the school doesn't give you any say so in the weight room, it ain't the right place for you. You can say
No
that
doubt.
again. I've been in a situation like that before, and I think a lot of schools can benefit from having a strength coach, but I also think I've seen a lot of benefit from a football coach who's qualified being able to lift the team, because it shouldn't be our team culture is built outside the weight room and that translates to the weight room. It should be our team culture is built in the weight room and that translates outside of the weight room. And it's very hard if you're relying on another person to build the troops for your team and you go to battle with whoever shows up. And that can be an issue. That can be a big thing. And you have to be in some way reliable for building your troops. It's not just, hey guys, we're going to show up after the off season and whatever this guy built us, that's what we're going to war with. Like, well, no, that's not how the Army does it, So it's like, Coach, I agree. And I've seen that with Jamie firsthand over the last couple months. And it's like the culture that has been built and set in the weight room directly correlates to what we're expecting on the field. And that is where I think some programs miss things. I think some schools have very high level strength programs, but it doesn't necessarily correlate to the sport and the culture, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think it's our job to, I talk with other sport coaches and I talk to them as a strength conditioning director, but I'm in it with them. Like I also coach a sport, and so I can relate to them and say, look, I want to be an extension of the culture that you want. And man, I've gotten a lot of great buy-in. And I know it can kind of be a weird thing at certain schools, but certainly not Rock Hill. They do a fantastic job. But Coach, I'm interested to get right into the meat and potatoes here with the Power Raid offense. It's a term that gets attention. I mean, how do you define? I know we talked about it a little bit, but how do you define it?
Yeah, I think it's kind of like what we talked about, is it's being able to be multiple, but it's that downhill run mentality of like, we want to be able to, because the biggest notion you get on the air raid is that they're gonna be soft. And so what's the best way to do that is have that offensive line be like, hey, when it's 3rd and 1, 3rd and 2, rely on us, and we're gonna, and having that mentality. So that's where that power downhill, run game. And and I think that the OGs of air raid, they probably ran, inside zone or some type of like dart, or I call it gut, but the just regular G pull, one back power, and then GT. Some of those are kind of finesse, and that's like, the one thing is people arguing with the inside zone duo, all that stuff. So like for me, it was like, I wanted to really get good at GH. I want to get good at power, and I want to get good at buck sweep, because why? That's where you can get that 11 or 12 personnel, but still have weapons and still be able to get into your pass game. Like we talked about the air raid principles, the 3 or 4 receiver getting 5 out, but using 3 or 4 and flooding a side of the field and having six man pro, pass pro. And so then you have your air raid principles. So, it's mirroring the two. And you kind of have a menu of that. I've never had the same year. As a coach, I've never had the same 4 runs. I've never had the same 4 quick, and I've never had the same. It depends on what you have. I've kind of gotten away from the Y cross, which I'll probably get kicked out of the air raid family, but it has not.
Welcome to the club.
Give me your certification back, Coach.
Yeah, well, I ain't paid $400 to no do certification. I did all the. Hey, I stole and cheated and all that, man. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. I get that from the baseball part. There you go.
There you go.
But I just got away from it. It was why we worked it every day on Monday. Wasn't good at it. Why am I doing this? Just because I say I'm running the air raid? No, I found other ways to get to the same type of mindset, same type of principles. And before. I'll tell you, before I came back down to North Carolina, I was not a 4 verts guy because Wisconsin, we just didn't have those type of guys. It was, and that's where I started running the ball a lot and doing the mesh and stuff. But the 4 verts, when you go to any 7-on-7, that was like the only pass play that everybody ran. So everybody knew how to stop it. And I was like, all right, I'm going to do something different because why would I do what other people that have better athletes? Why would I do that? Yeah. So the 4 verts, I had really never done. I wasn't a big fan of it. But when getting rid of Y cross, I was like, I had to find a way, and really explain to things a little bit better. So I went back and watched a lot of Mike Leach and Hal Mummy stuff of teaching the 4 verts. And the biggest one that fell in love with and was, doing the 4 vert switch and then doing, the run and shoot, the swap of switching who did it. And so that became one of our things. And then, so at Northwood, it was one of our big ones because we had two guys that played basketball on our outside. We had the D1 tight end, and then we had a kid that ran legit 4.48 in the slot. And when teams would then try to play man, we also had a quarterback that was averaging there for a while 7 or 8 touchdowns a game. And he was just probably the best athlete. I'm telling you, the best athlete. I wish he wouldn't have had that D1 or bust mentality. I wish he would have went and played somewhere because he had a chance to play all throughout the country. But he just wanted that D1 ECU to, and so I fell in love with it again. And so my big one this year was like, okay, if we have the guys, I really want to get back to studying that. Last year, we did a lot of 4 verts, but we only had one guy that could really beat anybody. And it was, all right, let's look at the little details on how we can get better at it. And so using a lot more motion, doing not just, the long motion, but doing some fake jet, just trying to get the eyes of having to switch, and started doing switches and swaps and, making sure that they understood, hey, this is how to be quarterback friendly with your route. This is what the quarterbacks will be looking for. Quarterbacks is what the receivers are looking at, and got on the same page, and giving them only 1 or 2 guys the option to sit. Once I realized who was the best guy at being able to decide that, and that can kind of, be the guy that fixes everything and being the solution guy. And yeah, we've gotten a lot better. And so, yep. So I'll probably, once again, get shamed for not running Y cross and doing a little bit more of that run and shoot 4 vert stuff. I'm not doing deep choice or any of that. It's just the way that they coach up the different verts in the alleys and using names like switch, swap, and who's got what and all that good stuff. And the guys understand it, and it's been fun, and the defense hasn't enjoyed it this fall. So.
Yeah, Jamie, aren't you getting away, or haven't you gotten away from running like trips Y cross a lot? We used to.
Yeah. I mean, I think I like the play. I think for us, it had to mesh with, like, did I want to make it like a 6-man check protection or not? And I think it's got to be more like your back has got to be out, or you got to run, like, somebody's got to affect like the weak side, like, hook player,
Yeah.
like, and if you can't do that, we just didn't see a lot. I don't know. It's just for us. Like, I wasn't going to do it. Like,
well,
I was going to sell out to that.
The way I kind of envisioned it is, if it's not working, it's because the defenses are misaligned. Like, it's because they have an extra weak safety in the boundary who shouldn't be there versus trips.
And I'm just going to throw sail. I'm just going
to throw field flood. And I think when we kind of shaped our brains around, Y cross is really a boundary flood concept. Correct. We're trying to flood back away from the trips, or in 2x2, we're trying to flood the boundary. And I think we found better ways to run boundary floods versus the typical Y cross. I still get it.
I still get it 2 ways. So one way is slash, which is a really great concept. And then the other one is more of a heavy play fake, play action Y cross, because we have to we have to get that weak side hook player to either play run or play something in the flat, obviously, to get in behind him. And so when you're doing that with like a check protection, well, he's just going to bail out. You got nobody accounting for him in a trip. So if you do it at a 2x2, it's a little easier, but now you're going to get weak rotation. That's not great either. So we've kept sail or field flood in. Yeah. So I mean, it's one of those didn't really mesh well with like our offense.
Yeah, and I've gotten to where I'm just gonna run my sail at a 2x2, and then the thing is you can do it a bunch of different ways. Is whether you do the old, the drive from the backside, whether you do a shallow cross from the backside, or if you do get the running back out there, almost like the dash concept is just those three different ways right there. It helps us, and we're just running sail where wide cross you can run a bunch of stuff on the front side, but for some reason we just couldn't hit that Y cross, and it was just like, why are we doing this? Why am I putting my head through a wall, if we
Same, man.
can't do this? So it was just
Same.
like, all right, done.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Makes sense. I mean, yeah, it's tough when you can't get it, but don't beat your head against the wall.
My buddy's he's a big air raid guy. He loves it out of split back. So they'll go split back twins to the field, and they'll flare both backs and then run the cross.
That is old school. Yeah, that's true air raid.
Maybe that's why we're not doing it right. We're not going back to the OG, the Yoda way of doing it.
That's right, man. That's right. So run game wise, you're more gap. Do you kind of pair any zone as a natural counter, or you just kind of keep it gap scheme?
Ooh, man. We've tried that. And so the only thing that we got to that was really successful, any type of zone principle, but we kind of taught dart with that inside zone kind of principle. And it was basing the tackle, and then having that guard because we would run it. Didn't matter if if it was a shade or the 3, is just we had really good tackles that could pull. And the guards we had guards that were a little bit bigger. And so it was just like, all right, we're just going to teach dart like inside zone. Cause it also was just like our pass pro. And so that was the only time that I've been successful with inside zone. So it's just, I keep it gap scheme. And I've really fallen in love with it, setting the gun tee type stuff. And I was like, once again, it's just like the wide cross. I was like, I'm done putting my head through a wall, practicing every Monday, just hoping that we're good at it.
That's right.
I got, I was just like, all right, let's cut the fat. Like, what are we good at? And so what we'll do is, we get actually our fourth stuff that we do, our fourth day of stuff that we work on is power read and jet power read and some jet stuff, because we got some guys that can run, and we got some quarterbacks that they might not be the biggest, but they ain't scared of tucking and running it. And so that's where I've really, and now Jason McMahon is another guy I've studied, and I know he was a big with the jet power read and power read stuff. And I've really listened to him a lot and corresponded with him. And so that was kind of one of the things I was like, all right, we're going to have a whole day of where we work nothing but power read, jet power read, and we're going to wear that defense out. And it might only hit a couple of times, just like inside zone 2 or 3 times, but then you hit that big one and it makes it look really pretty. But that jet power read and power read, if they overcompensate, and then all of a sudden you got that backside A gap with that quarterback, it's gone. And we got a guy that can turn and burn. So,
yeah. And I think, Coach, I was thinking through, you said you kind of got away from my cross. I'm going to ask this one. So are you still a mesh guy? Do you like running mesh? Cause so my buddy Caleb, like, he loves the air raid. Like, he steps out, he's a power raid guy. He does it all. He likes 12 and slot and all those, but like, he would always tell me, it's like, man, like, mesh is like a day one install, and it takes time to rep and work settle drill and work when they're continuing to go. And he would rave about that. And also 4 verticals you were talking about earlier, because the so many options of sitting it down, or the outside running to go, or falling out or whatnot. So, like, do you still run mesh? And if so, is that time consuming or not?
Yeah. So we run mesh, and every day we run a mesh drill. And then every day is a different type of what mesh we're going to get into, whether it's the OG one, or we're going to go rail, or we're going to go post wheel. And then we'll also even work a little bit of mesh traffic. But on Wednesday, it depends on if it's Wednesday or Thursday. And then when we get to the season, it's going to be Wednesday, and it is nothing. I'm throwing mesh and shallow cross all day, every day of what we have scripted. And my biggest one is, is the what if they're going to try and take away the meshes, we're hitting shallow cross, we're going to hit the OTB on mesh rail or the post wheel if they're getting nosy. But yeah, mesh is a big thing of what we do. The kids have bought into it. They love it because, it's like playing chicken. And that's what we kind of do with those linebackers. And we just make them wrong. And we've set up all the rules. They understand, some of the intricacies that we do with it. And yeah, I haven't gotten away from mesh because I think I've never gotten away from, and I'm trying to think of, I think mesh has always been one of those of somehow it's always been one of our best drop back.
The base weight out of 2x2 base weight, do you have number ones on speed outs or how do you?
I have the number ones on outs. And then the two are meshing, and then we let the quarterback set the running back to what side he wants to read. And so we go, just like the old school is pre-snap your one, we go swing actually 2, and then to the mesh to 3, unless we see that the mesh is getting there a little bit faster, then we'll go 1, 2, 3. And I also will mix up whether the running back's running an arrow or a swing based on how they're doing, because last year, one thing that I saw watching film, they didn't give a crap if the running back was running a swing on anything. It didn't matter if you did your push-pull motions. No, we weren't getting any reaction. So it was one of those things of, I was like, all right, we got to start running arrows. And it has been a game changer.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
Arrow shoots, yeah.
Yeah, I think the way that I typically run it, which we don't rep it nearly enough. That's like a day 12 install. It's like, all right, guys, we're like week 4. Let's add in some mesh. But no, it definitely is a specialty play for me. Typically with the rail, but we read like a front side corner, and then we I tell the quarterbacks it's like a field flood. So it's just corner, play front side mesh, front side back, the back or whatever. So, but I know air raids, like the way I taught it was like corner, play side mesh, play side back, backside mesh, backside back, or something. It was like 17 reads, and then you're getting sacked. So I've had to kind of adjust it a little bit, but no, it's a great play, man. I like it against zone, man. It's great at, the red area. It's good stuff, man.
Yeah, I guess one of my favorite ways is kind of out of trips. I like it best out of trips. I think, but I will say where I grew, working with Caleb, is a lot of the times he was like, man, mesh always works, and we pulled it up, and like we completed it 7 out of 9 times.
Oh, wow.
But all 7 was the speed out. It was the rhythm out.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like we weren't even hitting the mesh, and I was like,
just run speed out on the front side.
It was and we probably hit the mesh once or twice.
That's why I think slash has been good. I mean, slash is like Y cross or like a boundary flood, but it's like you're really just hitting the low like every time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think
it's like 90% completion percentage.
JT O'Sullivan, I think he trying to remember when he said it, but he tweeted out, he's like, all y'all fanatics, mesh ain't nothing but an expensive check down. I don't know why y'all are in love with it. but if you really go back and if you look at any air raid coach that talks about it, they spend most of the time talking about hitting the corners or the outs, or the other thing that they've now started doing is if they're getting blitzed, because that's what people try to do with the air raid, is now they'll convert it to its fades. And now they teach shallow cross and mesh the same way as both of them are running fades. And then it's just the inside guys that know what they're doing. And so that cracked me up because I'm just like, dang.
Then you do like mesh return, and it's like
I've always tried to. I tried to do the mesh return pivot. Nah, I did it one year, and I was like, I'm done. I did it for 15 minutes. I'm like, I'm done. This ain't it. And anybody that tries to say they do it,
no. They're like a popular like meme or like it's like a series of videos of guys running mesh and just getting sacked over and over. Like it's hilarious.
Well, and it's just the read, like, because if you go back and look at why are you getting sacked, is because you're trying to read the mesh first, and I'm just like. That is just, that's when you know that they, I mean, you don't need a certification. There's a bunch of different ways, but like, I don't know who they listen to it. You don't read the mesh first, because their quarterback's going to be sitting there and his head is going to be taken off.
Certified in nothing. I hope the certification stuff is a big hot topic. That'd be good.
Yeah.
Be good.
Don't worry. The run sheet's coming out with their certification now.
We're gonna get lambasted from that. But all right, man. So when you're kind of going through your install, just talk about, now you're going in season. You're not really playing around with too many like run concepts. Talk a little bit about what your week looks like in terms of install. Do you kind of focus? I know you kind of focus on certain things, but man, try to get a little detail, because I'm interested in how you kind of go through, because we do zone, so we actually lose a whole day of gap, basically.
Yeah. So with us is what we do is Mondays are counters. So it's our GT, our GH, the different ways that we think that we're gonna get an advantage, and we and then it's the fine intricacies of that is gonna be, if it, I'm not a big fan of some odd fronts of running the GT, because I feel like it just you never know when they're gonna bring up the backer, if they're gonna have both backers, and and like, is it going to be the tight front, and are they going to have that backers apex, or are they bring them in? And so it's just one of those things of, all right, let's just put a freaking tight end in the game, and that answers everything. For me, at least, that's GT just can get a little hairy at times. So that's what we'll do Mondays, all of our counters, what we think, which variation we want, and then whether we're going to arc the tight end or arc the H. If we're running GT to it, are we going to arc him to lead for if the quarterback pulls on GT because they're slant, so it's going through our game plan of all the different ways we can run. And this is what the game plan is going to be for that opponent. Tuesday we do power. And then the one thing is, studying the power insert power ISO type stuff that Gun T does. And so then we'll also mix in our power read or jet power read. And then with that day, and then Wednesday we do buck sweep. And the big thing with buck sweep is it's how are we protecting it, and the reads on front side and back side and the different variations of that. So it's picking those type of runs. And then, like, when we were at Northwind, we had a really good year. We actually, dart was one of ours. We weren't so big on power. We actually just did dart or gut, and it's that one back power. And so we're just reading that backside end or the backside linebacker. And that was how we were kind of evening up the numbers. Because we were doing inside zone type stuff as well. So when we were there that year, it was inside zone. Tuesday was buck sweep, and then Wednesday was actually our dart and gut. And we taught the linemen of, if they saw certain fronts, that we can go from dart and we'll run gut, because we wanted to run dart to the 5 shade side. We wanted to run gut to 5-3 side. And then if it was a 3-man front, depending on if it's the tight front or if it's the old school 5-0-5, so that's what we did. And then when we're at South Iredale, I actually did not, and in Wisconsin, I didn't run power. I was a big believer. I liked trap, but with a lot of the tight front, just the movement you get, I just trap out a gun is just not. It hasn't been as successful here in North Carolina. I think the coaching,
every offensive line coach I've worked
different.
with, every offensive coach I worked with wants to put in trap, and I do it, and it like sucks.
Yeah.
I think it's because it's so. I think for us, our backfield is so predicated on like timing.
Yeah.
I just don't think it hits fast enough from us. Now, other offenses that in the gun may have different like mechanics. Like we pause until the ball is in the quarterback's hands. Could do a lot of
I heard that
RPO and that, but I feel like the trap is like it's hitting
hit quick.
Yeah. So like for me, it's not.
And
maybe
of course,
it's better like at a quarterback trap or something.
For me, why I loved it was, that run the veer, and so when we were there, we ran speed, we ran inside outside veer, we ran power, and we ran trap. We didn't really run much GT because you're under center. It's kind of, now Army and Navy done a really good job of learning how to really be able to get those two going. And so I really loved trap, and I understood all the reasons of trapping the one, trapping the two, all the head up and all that, because we went to Carson Newman twice a year, and talked about the different things that they do in the trap option. And it was even this trap lead where, they would go with an H-back, and H-back is going all the way back to try to manipulate. And then, the trap just hits quick, and it would actually bounce a lot. And so it was just like some of the things that they did, I was like, okay. And so I really understood it. So it was one of the things, but now it's like, dude, I don't know what happened, but like, just nowadays, just trap, I don't feel as comfortable with it. And so, every year, like I said, it's been different. I'm starting to go through my head. I'm like, I was like, but now we're all gap scheme. And just kind of going to that gun T of like, our guys are working down blocks and they're working the angles. They're getting really good at what they do. Instead of, just trying to teach them too much. And I guess, man, I might not also be a good enough coach to be doing zone and gap. I just was like, you know what? I'm going to just all that stuff, and they're just going to communicate long, short, me, you, and who's got ace double and all that stuff on who's comboing and all that, and it's worked for us. And so we're gonna keep doing that, because I mean, one thing we could do is we could hang our hat on GT last year. Didn't move the ball a lot, but it was on GT usually, so just dressing it up.
I think a good mix up too, if you like trap but you're not any good at it, is running some wham stuff and letting the H come and kick and trap, especially, you know, we talk about all the time, personnel dictates everything.
Yep.
And there's sometimes you see 3 techniques that or 4 eyes that it doesn't matter what you do. You can try to double them, but they're not moving. And especially in a 4 eye. And it's like, well, hey man, let's bring a guy full speed and try to kick him laterally and let's hit it underneath him, you know. And it's a lot of times I think it helps with the personnel of the interior guys. If you can't handle those 3s or 4 eyes, it's a good little shake up. But it's still always dependent on how many backers are in the true tackle box, you know. Are they a 0-0? They got 2 in there. Like there's a lot of things to consider, but I think wham's a good little mix up if trap's not
my biggest one of what you just said of like, so we had played Richmond, Scotland, who had been really good. My learning of Jimmy's and Joe's matters, and they got coached up well, was 2 straight years of playing Dexter Lawrence. You know, our poor quarterback, who was a short little nugget, but, you know, has the Pinecrest passing record. Man, I'll tell you what, we tried to run and tried every way we possibly could, but we learned real quick we're going to have to pass for 400 yards or we're going to be in this game, because that man, it didn't matter what you do. You read him. He's running faster than the quarterback. If you try to block him, yeah, it's going to have 2 guys.
How much RPO are you doing?
So I'll be honest, we only do like 1 or 2 things post snap. I like a lot of pre snap. Is like kind of that, you know, is that pre-access. I've simplified it for them as, hey, if they like it, they'll yell kill to the running back, not to the lineman. So they don't step into it. And now the running back is actually going to go to where he normally would. So if the quarterback doesn't like it, he'll kind of replace, and the quarterback can replace that. But it's got to be, I told him, you better hit that 9 out of 10 times. I was like, because otherwise my line coach is going to put a foot up your butt. And I don't know about that, but that's a size 15 from that play at UNC. So, I mean, that's your choice. But a lot of it's pre-snap predicated, or if we're seeing something, like we just worked on it. We've been working on that at practice down in the red zone and stuff like that, is, hey, if you see this guy do this, then that's the only time that we'll hit it. But we're not working a lot of that post-snap stuff. And if it is, it's 1 or 2 things that is part of our quick game. You know, like the stick. Like stick, and then we love to run, you know, slider, the arrow type stuff. But a lot of it is, if you aren't 100% on it pre-snap, let us see as coaches on the film or, you know, on the replay, and then we'll come back to it. But just hand it off and be smart about it until we see that they're overplaying something, or that the defense is kind of giving us that to take. So we'll, you know, we got some speed outs, some slants, and some you know, some stick type stuff that they can if they feel comfortable with it, then they'll take that. But you know, it's run, you know, and that's the whole thing, is it's run pass option. We want to try to run the ball. If I want to pass it off, we would call a pass. But if they're cheating down, hey, what hole or what are they giving us, that type of that area of the field? We do work that type stuff. But I tell them, is like, hey, when we hit it, it's going to be a big time play. Let's set it up. You know, it's like a couple of jabs, then you hit but don't try to come out there on the first time and try to hit a haymaker, and all of a sudden you're down, you know, 6 or 7-0 or 8-0 if they go.
I mean, it takes a level of trust, you know, to quarterback, you know, and he's really got to know what you're trying to get out of this. And for us, we've always just told our quarterbacks, look, we're going to get a +1 box. We have to have some sort of answer.
Yep.
And that's kind of where we're at. So if that +1 answer, we got to have some sort of bubble, slant, you know, arrow, something to try to mitigate the numbers problem. And
Absolutely.
so now the decisions that he makes has to be in alignment with like solving that problem, not just because you want to throw the ball. And if not, we'll have the next guy jump in and he'll just hand it off. But yeah.
And I think, you know, looking at it from the defense side of the ball, it's like, and I may have touched on this prior, it's like, what do we want them to do? You know, and Kirby Smart said it best a couple of years ago. It said, listen, we used to live in a day and age where you pack the box and make them throw it. And he's like, now I want to be +2 in the pass to make them hand the ball off. Yeah. Please hand the ball off. We want them to run the football. And I think at the high school level, I think you got to find, like, what do you want? What is the easiest thing to do in the game of football at the high school level? It's catch the snap and hand it to the most athletic kid on the field who's standing right next to you. It's the easiest thing to do in theory. And, then there's some people who think outside the box and like to throw it a lot, and that's great. But I think from a defensive standpoint, you have to determine what are we going to be known for. And I heard the defensive coordinator, Gardner Webb, say this: we got to get good at stopping something. And if the run is what we choose, we're going to freaking get 7 in the box every single time, regardless if it's a one back or not. And if they start throwing it, then we'll figure that out. But we got to get good at eliminating something, because we can't just kind of eliminate the run and kind of eliminate the pass. No, we're going to focus on stopping the run, and then we'll worry about the pass. And, I think there's good in a lot of things, but you have to understand, how do I want to stop the run? And that kind of ties into what you're talking about. RPO isn't just to throw the ball. It's, okay, they have one more than we can block, and that's why we're going to tag the RPO. And I don't know. I think to make it hard on offenses is the more pre-snap spin you can do to really put it on the quarterback.
Well, they don't know there's an actual +1 problem. That's you're trying to disguise the +1 problem with your post-snap rotation or post-snap movement or whatever you're trying to do. And now there's a couple problems. One, who are we working to? Right? Like who's the mic, per se. And then the other problem is, well, who's the +1? So you better have something kind of in my mind, like I better have answers for that, or have a game plan for that, or anticipate that. If you're too high, that's why Kirby likes running a lot too high, but he'll spin down, and he can max fit, and even +1.
Spencer said something interesting like 8 years ago. We were early in our coaching careers. He said, whenever I go to call offense and build my package, I'm going to have all my trips formations start with a T. He said, because primarily if you're going against good defense, they do weak rotation. So when they hear the T formation at center, he's more prone to understand for running the ball weak, account for the safety that could possibly be spinning down based on the game plan. And I doubt he's doing that, or if he did it, but at the time where we were at in our careers, it made a lot of sense. It's like, if I hear a T formation, I got to be aware that the mic per se could be coming out of the roof, and we may need to account for him back there.
That makes sense, man. That makes sense. Well, I think we're ready for the rapid fire section, man. We appreciate all the insight on the Powerade, and just trying to get to know you a little bit in this rapid fire. It's always fun for us to do that. But what do you think? If you weren't coaching football, what would you be doing?
So my degree was in business and marketing. I would really love to have working in whether some type of professional field of doing their game day marketing, or doing the marketing in general. I love that, and got to do a little bit of it when I was at Greensboro College. I helped out a little bit with the grasshoppers, and just thinking of some of the giveaways and thinking of just how to market something. I love doing that. It's something I don't know. I love doing that. And it's funny because my wife, that's kind of some of the stuff that she does. And so that's probably what I'll be doing, some type of marketing hopefully in the professional sports atmosphere, to stay around the game.
Social media, man. Dustin's a big social media guy too. He's a good marketer.
The more I have to run a social media for the schools and the teams and the podcast, the more I like getting away from social media, man. It's busy. But Bolton, what would you do if you weren't?
I don't know, dude. I don't know if I have any other skills. Like, and I don't even know if this is a skill. I don't even think I'm skilled at this. It's like, heck, I'm not even skilled at football, let alone anything else. But it's like, I guess just keep trying to fake something. Like, I did construction for 7 summers, like through high school and college and a little bit into my coaching career. I don't know if I want to go down that route, especially with how hot it was here a couple weeks ago. But man, it was rough. I don't know. I think I'd like to move to the coast, buy a boat, and do charter fishing. I always think those guys look super cool out there with their long sleeve shirts and their Costa sunglasses.
And just a red neck. Like,
dude, you got like the thing they pull up over their mouth,
the gator,
and their nose. Yeah, dude, those guys just look cool.
Twin engine
center console.
Oh yeah,
some sort of Carolina skiff boat.
not a bad little gig. Hopefully you don't get seasick. That would suck for that to be your job.
Yeah, crazy stories.
It's funny. Me and Catherine were talking about this the other day. You know, she's into marketing. She works for Mako, and I told her if I wasn't coaching football, I think something I would truly enjoy is working at the corporate level and like designing for franchises, like the implementation program of startup and then the processes of how you do everything. So like, for example, I served tables at Texas Roadhouse growing, you know, through college, like designing it and actually, you know, how do you open a Roadhouse? What are the processes and systems for front of house, back of house, and implement it? I just think that's cool. It's kind of like culture building in a way, I guess. That's kind of why I think I'd like doing it.
Also full-time podcasting.
Yeah, I could do this. I enjoy this. Awesome. Like I mean, I really enjoy here it is. We're approaching midnight, and it's like, you know, we got school tomorrow, and we got, you know, practice scrimmage, but
we're having a blast, man. Good time. This is fun. This is fun.
All right, Coach. Next one. I want to know a little bit about you on game day. Like, are you, you know, do you get antsy? Are you even keel? Like, and here's why I'm asking this. I'm a preface it. Caleb came up to me last year. And I'm a flip-flop guy. I love rainbows, and I'm going to wear rainbows right up until it's time to go get dressed, like till probably about 6 o'clock. And Caleb said, man, you kind of remind me of Mike Leach. I said, what do you mean? He said, he used to go talk to the other head coach for the game, and he'd tell one of his assistants to bring him a hot dog. And then mid-talk with the other head coach, he'd bring him a hot dog, and he'd say, hey man, did you put mustard on this?
Oh my
God. Like he's not worried about the game at all. And so that's kind of why I want to know who are you on game day?
Oh man. So I have to get my workout in. I gotta get my workout in the morning, or I'm cranky all the days, but especially game day. I am not joking around until there's no joking around on game day. Unfortunately, I've tried to be loose, calm, collective, but there's too many thoughts going up in the head. I'm pretty, but now then when we get out in the field, then I'm like relaxed. I don't know what it is. I know it's vice versa, but I'm relaxed during pregame. Even though we're doing the stretches and doing warm-ups, I'm having a good time, the music and all that. But up until about 5:30, I am just angry, and I'm gonna have, depend on if we're winning or whatever, but I'm gonna have that Red Bull, whatever flavor it is of the week or whatever. For some reason, you're gonna laugh, but I feel like that calms me down. As soon as that starts hitting me,
sugar-free Red Bulls.
Yeah, I start feeling a little bit better. I'm like, okay, all right, now I'm feeling good. But yeah, I'm dressed and not dressed up until right before game, and then I'll get changed. And the guys kind of at Green Hope, they kind of just like, that's weird. I'm just like, you're the first ones I've ever said that. So I don't know. Like I'll take a shower, feel better. And then it's just, that's just been a routine of mine. But yeah, I'm not the happiest on game day until about 5:30. Once I'm like, well, there's nothing more I can do now. Yeah. The haze in the barn.
Jamie, let's hear it.
Yeah, I'm kind of a weirdo, man. So I definitely get obviously the jitters like everybody else does. And I got a few rituals, I guess. 2 things I always need. I guess this is kind of crazy to say, but I need coffee at about 5 o'clock. I need like a 5:30, like post meal coffee to get me going. Then
That's
I need
my practice every day.
Then I need my Gold Bond powder. And once that's on, boys, I might be puffing, walking around the hallway, dude. Just puffs of white smoke.
Dude, I've known you for a while, and I didn't know you were a game day Gold Bond guy, dude.
Because if I don't, y'all, I pace up and down the sideline constantly. It's like Lou Holtz.
That's our snippet. That's our snippet for this episode, dude.
Yeah,
Gold Bond sponsor us.
I swear, y'all, by the 4th quarter, I am like wide-legged, like walking around. I'm galded, man. Like it's bad if I don't have the powder. So, but no, those are 2 things, and I stay pretty light, man. I start cracking jokes once the headsets go on. So I'll calm everybody down. Everybody's super dang nervous, and I'll just say, hey, man, do I have any white stuff on my pants? Like, I just start cracking people up. But I like it, man.
That's awesome, man. I think for me, man, and this isn't saying that other people don't front load and put a lot of work in, because a lot of coaches do. I'm completely kind of the opposite. Like once Thursday night happens, so the the last 2 years it's been Thursday night sushi because we didn't have a typical JV team, and we had Thursday nights for family, and me and Catherine eat sushi every Thursday. And once sushi hits, it's like a calm just came over, and like game day. And it may have to do with I didn't have to teach on Fridays. that could be a good bit, but it's like Fridays for me were just like, because Caleb would come up in my office every Friday morning. Hey man, you ready? And I'd look at him and say, dude, I'm always ready. We got to find out if the kids are ready. I said, my play call sheet, I know the opponent, but one thing I have to do on Fridays is I can't turn huddle on. I can't turn huddle on because I will just continue just to watch film, and I'll find one or two things that maybe I hadn't noticed. And I'm like, you know what, dude, if you start mentioning that to the kids, it's going to blow the whole thing. So I can't turn huddle on.
You know what we do? I'll start charting for the next week.
Yeah.
Just to get my mind off of whatever. And I'll just start charting and getting ahead. We did that at York, man, for a long time. And I feel like it helps me a lot, just like not focus on and use like mental energy on like the calls or like, hey man, this is going to happen and be ready for this. It's like, nah. And then right before the game, I'll go right through the play call sheet. Roll.
Yeah. We did that at Pinecrest with Coach Mesker. We would, by about Thursday, we started charting because he found a way. We'd always have everybody's film, but so that's what we would. Then it would be eher Saturday because if we knew if we didn't have that done, we ain't leaving until 2 or 3. And I'm trying to watch some College Game Day and trying to get So we would start doing that on Thursday, Friday, and one time Dabo Sweeney was down there with us because we had a kid that was going to Clemson. He's like, "What are y'all doing?" Like, "Hey man, we're trying to be able to watch y'all on Saturday afternoon. That's what we're doing."
I love it. Man.
One of my, I guess one of my guilty pleasures too is one of my favorite things on a Friday night is when the music comes on. So the announcer turns the music on, and like you're warming up, and then you like break them down. They get water before you move to the next thing, and you just see everybody coming in the stadium because it's kind of like they're coming to the show. And I don't know, something about the music, the kids, and then just the fans walking in the stadium. Like sometimes I just turn up and look and just kind of take it in and say, man, like we really do.
Here's
have
a weird one.
The best.
You know what I do?
What?
I take pictures of sunsets at the stadium.
Hey man,
I don't know, dude. I do it, man.
Hey man, post those on
the bleachers. I'll sit on the bleachers. I'm like you, Dustin. We get done with like the kids are in the locker room. I'll just sit on the bleachers and talk to like, I don't know, the tech guys or whatever, like the person taking the pictures, and we'll just kind of shoot the breeze.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, man, that's a nice sunset with them lights, and I'll just click it. I'm like, I'm kind of weird. Yeah.
Hey man,
I could show you some from the ones that we had in Vegas, man. We saw we would see the strip. Oh my gosh, it was crazy.
Something I'll use for fuel with the kids too is I always try to talk to 2 or 3 coaches from the other team before the game.
Yeah.
Like walk up and just talk to them. And like, man, if they're really like tense and they're like, you can tell like they're dialed in, I'll go back to the kids and say, man, them coaches are worried over there, dude. They won't even talk to me. You know what I mean? Because it's like everybody's different. It's just like kids. Some people like to put headphones on, some like to talk. And it's like, I just try to talk to 2 or 3 coaches if I don't know them or if I know them. And it's like, that tells you a little bit about who they are. And it's like, they probably like, this fat dude, he's like, it's like Monday practice for him. It's like, I don't know. I've never been like, I don't know.
That's fun.
I always hit the opposite coaches with it. Like, man, we're just lucky to be on the field with you. We're terrible.
Yes. Love it.
We ain't got a chance. It's like, hey man, I hope you tell the parents that you guys are gonna be back early tonight. Now, unfortunately, it did happen a couple of times. But I like to try to play Jedi mind tricks because you talk yourself up and you get embarrassed. They're gonna remember that 100%. One. But we suck. We're terrible.
Hey, I got the last one here, and
go for it.
It just kind of popped into my head. What's the craziest like pregame? I don't know that you've ever been a part of. Like what? Like any like crazy like antics or going back and forth. Has there been like a crazy pregame story?
Man, unfortunately, so my first year ever coaching.
If it starts out with unfortunately, is all.
First year coaching. We go back. This is 2013. The entire news stations in our area, because we're going up against Scotland. Both teams are 7-0. Game of the century. All these reporters, all this. Well, they got a couple of dudes. Man, they're saying everything you possibly could think of, and like we're over there like, we see the kids' eyes. I'm just like, oh boy, this ain't gonna be good. Well, it ended up being 63-0.5 Scotland. So for a game of the century, but buddy, let me tell you, when we got out on that field, and we're feeling pretty good about ourselves, but when we saw them and we saw Zamir, freshman or sophomore, and then we saw, Jalen, like some of those guys, I was like, and then you had their hype guys getting them hype. But it was one of those things. We never said it was game of the century, but everybody's hyping it up, making the hypeness. And I was like, oh boy. But that was the craziest one because it was all week long. And then the news stations had our student section on Thursday and Friday at like 5 a.m. to like have this big old festival and all this stuff. And Coach Marshall, I don't like any part of this. This ain't good. This ain't good. Or this game is going to end up meaning too much. And it was just, and that's when I learned, I was like, don't make a game ever bigger than it needs to be, because man, that 63-0 at halftime, you're just kind of thinking like, what just happened? But everybody else was making all the noise for us. And we're just glad that, hey, we're at, like, hey, we're going to play this game. But all that pregame, and then we got there, and just talking about all the people coming in, we got there. Stadium was already filled of Scotland fans. They were ready to pounce on us. And it was like, that was the craziest I've ever seen. There wasn't a spot on the home side left. And so that's when I was up in the bleach, and I was just like, and the things that were being said, I was like, holy crap. Like, this is real. Like, I mean,
That's
you
cool.
thought you were like, that was the craziest atmosphere. No, I've never been anywhere even close to that. Cause I mean, Scotland football is serious. They love their football, but those kids, they wanted to just rip our heads. They were enjoying every minute of it. And it was, I mean, the couple of kids they still probably got stains on their socks. We probably had to throw them out after some of the stuff. I mean, we're like, dang, Richard, can you like calm those guys? Like, they're going to scare us. We're not even going to be able to play the freaking
Come back
game.
out. No doubt. What about you, Dustin?
I got two real quick. When I was in high school, we got a brand new head coach in 10th grade, great mentor of mine, Bradley Adams, and we were playing a crosstown rivalry kind of. They were always trash, but I actually ended up coaching there, but walk them all. But when I was in school, they were trash. Like, they were absolutely terrible. And like 44-0 every year. And the head coach that was at Georgetown before took the head walk them all job. And he gave the kids a Georgetown shirt, and they came to Georgetown, and they march in the middle of the field with the shirt and like rip it up and stomp on it.
Oh my God.
And then we continued to spank that 30-7, I think. And so, but that was one, I was like, man, like the audacity, but
yeah.
And then
you're still offended. You're still offended
oh, yeah.
to this day.
Anytime at York, Bobby and them were known for running the field. So we would start on one side and run down the field as a team and come back. And anytime it was time to run the field and the opposing specialist or any people were out, just know there's something's about to go off. And Clover was the worst one. Yeah. We did it at Clover, and I remember that pregame.
Yeah, that was bad.
What about you?
I got a couple. One was I was at Cannon, and it was my first year. It was 2020, and we are in the first round of the playoffs against Harold's Christian, and we drive 3.5 hours to go play Harold's, and it has rained all day. The field's in terrible condition, but whatever. It's not raining during the game, but the fog has set in, and I'm talking about dense amount of fog. Can't hardly see 10 feet in front of you. The lights don't work at the field. It's like 9 o'clock at night. They finally get most lights to come on. They bring out a generator with like a light that is 7 feet high, like in the corners of the field, man. And like, you can't even see the ball. Like when you're throwing it, like you got the fog and like these lights, like it's like ridiculous, man. And the generators are obviously on our side.
And they're just humming.
I'm talking about diesel.
Dude, we had those at Vegas. We had a bunch of them every 20 yards. That's how we had the field lit up, man. Oh, I know.
Dude, it was insane. And so I threatened to leave. I was like, I was talking to the AD. I was like, Katie, like, we're leaving. Like, this is ridiculous. That we can come play. We'll come back tomorrow. I don't care. Like, but we ended up playing, and Yeah, we got beat, but man, that was kind of a wild pregame. Oh, and here's another one. Last year in the playoffs, this is like a weird personal one. So we're doing pregame against a team we're playing in the playoffs, and their offensive coordinator is pretty well known. And he like is 2 feet behind me the entire pregame, like staring at me. Like, and the kids are like, Coach, I think he's like trying to like stare you down or something. Like, hey man, how's it going? He didn't say a word, man. Like, just super strange, man. Like, people are strange pregame. Like, it's a
No, I,
weird.
I had one. I had one in South Idaho that was same. It was just like
You
every
trying
one
to
of them.
intimidate me?
Everyone's staring at me. I'm just like,
It's wild.
all right, well, it's about the
Yeah.
kids, but all right, let's
Yeah. It's
do
like,
this.
guys, we're
You're gonna
coaching
regret this in about
15-year-olds
48
here.
minutes.
Yeah. We're coaching 15-year-olds, man. Calm down. But nah, man, great episode, guys. I appreciate it, Coach, talking to us and getting on. And I'm glad it was worth the wait. I'm glad you got everything kind of handled on your end, and best of luck this season.
Yeah,
Hey,
Coach.
appreciate you guys, and best of luck to y'all. We'll be following along every Friday. I'll be pulling up that score, see how y'all do. Thanks for having me. Appreciate everything y'all are doing for all coaches, and man, you guys doing an awesome job. Love this podcast. Every time it's new, like I said, I'm popping on. So thank y'all for working with me. Definitely appreciate being able to talk with y'all.
That means a lot to us,
Yeah.
Coach. We really appreciate it, and hopefully we'll catch up soon.
Yep.
Sure.
Appreciate it, guys. Don't forget links in the show notes. You got Team Builder 30-day free trial with the promo code CoachSpeak, Pro Quick Draw 7-day free trial, R4 Football Systems 10% off with CoachSpeak, and don't forget Tsunami Bar Sports as well as our platinum sponsor, Ray Crowther. See y'all in the next one.
Thanks for tuning into the Coach Speak podcast. If you're interested in being a guest speaker on the show, we'd love to hear from you. Email us at coachspeakpodcast1@gmail.com. And if you have a question for our Q&A segment, don't forget to submit it through the form in the episode description. We appreciate your support, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode.